I don't know any. Hey, Zeffy girl. What you doing? Hey, kia ora. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1325. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Who is St. Patrick? Great question. So I've got my little, I've actually got my Buckeyes St. Patrick Day's shirt on for those that know Buckeyes. This is Zeffy's squeaky toy. It says, "Lick me, I'm Irish." I'd rather have kisses. Yes, I am part Irish. Here, Zeff. You want to come get your toy? Come on. Come on. Good girl. You want to sit? Yes. What's the matter? There you go. So happy St. Patrick's Day. How are you celebrating St. Patrick's Day? St. Patty's Day, how are you celebrating? Did you go to any of the parades that are around the country at this time? Did you see any rivers turn green? Any fountains turn green? How did you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? And it got me thinking. I thought, I've got something bouncing. What's bouncing up here? Oh, they can cancel for a moment. Sorry, I had an icon that was doing this at the bottom of the screen, meaning it needed some attention. Excuse me. Had a tickle in my throat since I got up, which has been going most of the day. Anyway, so I suddenly thought, I really don't know the story of St. Patrick's Day, how it came around or anything like that. So I thought, what a great way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day than learning the history of St. Patrick. So I went on history.com and thought, well, they're going to have some information there. And it said, and on history.com, it says that St. Patrick's Day is celebrated annually on March 17th, the anniversary of the death in the 5th century. The 5th century. The Irish have observed this day as a religious holiday. It's actually a religious holiday they've celebrated for over 1,000 years. On St. Patrick's Day, which falls during the Christian season of Lent, Irish families would traditionally attend church in the morning and celebrate in the afternoon. Lenten prohibitions against the consumption of meat were waived, and people would dance, drink, and feast on traditional meals of Irish bacon and cabbage. Irish bacon, don't we know that as corned beef? I'm not sure. But St. Patrick, so who is St. Patrick? Well, he lived in the 5th century. He is the patron saint of Ireland and its national apostle. Born in Roman Britain, he was kidnapped and brought to Ireland as a slave at 16. He later escaped but returned to Ireland and was credited with bringing Christianity to its people. In the centuries following his death, which is believed to have been on March 17 in the year 461, remember we said the 5th century, 461, the mythology surrounding his life became ever more ingrained in the Irish culture. Perhaps the most well-known legend of St. Patrick is that he explained the Holy Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit using the 3 leaves of the native Irish clover, the shamrock. So that's how that comes into it. Since around the 9th or 10th century, people in Ireland have been observing the Roman Catholic feast on St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. The first St. Patrick's Day parade took place not in Ireland, but in America. Records show that a St. Patrick's Day parade was held on March 17, 1601, in a Spanish colony that is now known as St. Augustine, Florida. I thought this is actually pretty cool, because when I read through it yesterday, I was like, man, there's some really cool stuff in here. The parade and St. Patrick's Day celebration a year earlier was organized by the Spanish colony's Irish vicar, Ricardo Artur. More than a century later, homesick Irish soldiers serving in the English military marched in New York City on March 17, 1772, to honor the Irish patron saint. Enthusiasm for St. Patrick Day parades in New York City, Boston, and other early American cities only grew from there. Over the next 35 years, Irish patriotism among American immigrants flourished, prompting the rise of the so-called Irish Aid Society, like the Like the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick and the Hibernian Society, each group would hold annual parades featuring bagpipes, which actually first became popular in the Scottish and British armies, and drums. In 1848, several New York Irish Aid societies decided to unite their parades and form one official New York City St. Patrick's Day parade. Today, that parade is the world's oldest civilian parade and the largest in the United States, with over 150,000 participants. Each year, nearly 3 million people line the 1.5 mile parade route to watch the procession, which takes more than 5 hours. Like, wow. Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, and Savannah also celebrate the day with parades involving between 10 to 20,000 participants each. In 2020, the New York City parade was one of the first major city events to be canceled as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was again canceled in 2021. The parade in New York and others around the country returned in 2022. Up until the mid-19th century, Irish immigrants in New Zealand, in America, were members of the Protestant middle class. When the Great Potato Famine hit Ireland in 1845, close to 1 million poor and uneducated Irish Catholics began pouring into America to escape starvation. Despite their alien religious beliefs and unfamiliar accents by the American Protestant majority, the immigrants had trouble finding even menial jobs. When Irish Americans in the country city took to the streets on St. Patrick's Day to celebrate their heritage, newspapers portrayed them in cartoons as drunk, violent monkeys. How rude. The American Irish soon began to realize, however, that their large and growing numbers endowed them with political power that had yet to be exploited. They started to organize, and their voting bloc, known as Green Machine, became an important swing vote for political hopefuls. Suddenly, annual St. Patrick's Day parades became a show of strength for Irish Americans, as well as a must-attend event for a slew of political candidates. In 1948, President Harry S. Truman attended the New York City St. Patrick's Day parade, a proud moment for many Irish Americans whose ancestors had to fight stereotypes and racial prejudice to find acceptance in the new world. So that's just a little bit, and there's lots of celebrations around the world. It talks here, it then goes on and talks about the Chicago River being dyed green, how that all happened. As Irish immigrants spread out over the United States, other cities developed their own traditions. One is Chicago's annual dyeing of the Chicago River green. The practice started in 1962 when the city pollution control workers used dyes to trace illegal sewage discharged and realized that the green dye might provide a unique way to celebrate the holiday. That year, they released 100 pounds of green vegetable dye into the river, enough to keep it green for a week. Today, in order to minimize environmental damage, only 40 pounds of dye are used, and the river turns green for only several hours. Although Chicago historians claim their city's idea for the River Green was original, some natives of Savannah, Georgia, whose St. Patrick's Day parade, the oldest in the nation, dates back to 1813, believe the idea originated in their town. They point out that in 1961, a hotel restaurant manager named Tom Woolley convinced the city officials to dye Savannah's river green. The experiment didn't exactly work as planned, and the water only took on a slight greenish hue. Savannah never attempted to dye its river again, but Woolley maintains, though others refute the claim, that he personally suggested the idea to Chicago's Mayor Richard J. Daley. Today, people of all backgrounds celebrate St. Patrick's Day, especially throughout the United States, Canada, Australia. Although North America is home to the largest productions of St. Patrick's Day, is celebrated around the world in locations from as far as Ireland, including Japan, Singapore, and Russia. Popular St. Patrick Day recipes include Irish soda bread, yum, corned beef, yum, and cabbage, yum, and champ. I have no idea what champ is, and I totally forgot to look it up. In the United States, people often wear green on St. Patrick's Day. In Ireland, St. Patrick's Day has traditionally been a spiritual and religious occasion. In fact, up until the 1970s, Irish laws mandated that pubs be closed on March 17th. Beginning in 1995, however, the Irish government began a national campaign to use interest in St. Patrick's Day to drive tourism and showcase Ireland and Irish culture to the rest of the world. And then this next question comes up, which I'm sort of like, this was really cool. What do leprechauns have to do with St. Patrick's Day? I'm like, yeah, where did that come from? And I love folklore, myths, legends. I love learning about them. One icon of the Irish holiday is the leprechaun. The original Irish name for those figures of folklore is, I'm probably going to screw this up, and to all my Irish relatives, I'm sorry, Lobrekin, which means small-bodied fella. Belief in leprechauns probably stems from the Celtic belief in fairies, tiny men and women who could use their magical powers to serve good or evil. In Celtic folk tales, leprechauns are cranky souls responsible for mending shoes of the other fairies. Though only minor figures in Celtic folklore, leprechauns are known for their trickery, which they often use to protect their much-fabled treasure. Leprechauns, however, have their own holiday on May the 13th, but are also celebrated on St. Patrick's Day, with many dressing up as the wily fairies. So there's a history on St. Patrick's Day, how it all started, what the traditions are that are continued, and even why why leprechauns are there as well. I'm actually going to find out more about leprechauns, and I'll bring that to you on May 13th, since it's their day on May 13th. So I'm going to take a note to do that. But that's it from us for today. Hope you have. How are you celebrating St. Patrick's Day? Let us know in the comments below. I'm always looking for different ways to celebrate. Basically, all I do is I put on my green hat, I put on my green shirt, and that's it. Although I am going to admit, I did have a struggle today, because today is Friday. On Friday, I usually wear a red shirt because it's Red Shirt Day. Remember, everyone deployed. And I usually wear that. And so I kind of had a conflict this morning. Like, I normally wear red, but it's St. Patrick's Day, and I want to celebrate my Irish roots. I actually do have Irish ancestry in me. My second great grandmother was born in the police barracks in Dublin, Ireland. Her father is definitely Irish, but her mother, we're having problems with her. We're not sure if she was born in Ireland or Scotland. But I definitely have Scottish roots. I have Irish roots. I have English roots. I have Cornish roots. I have so many of my ancestors are from Cornwall in England, that, there's a lot to count. I can trace back 10 generations down one leg in Cornwall, which is quite amazing. But yes, I do actually have Irish blood in me. I have Irish ancestors. And my great aunt one time sent me a message saying, "Oh, I'm currently talking to cousins of ours in Ireland." I go, "Who? Who are they? How are they related?" And I heard nothing more from her, and she died a few weeks later. And I'm like, damn it. She left me hanging. Now I have to go find them myself. So I'm seeing how many of them I'm related to via DNA as well. But do you have Irish ancestry in you? Have you discovered any? Have you done any DNA to see if you have any Irish? Now, here's the thing to remember. With the estimated ethnicities, which are pretty accurate in a way, if you do have Irish ancestry, but you come up showing no Irish in your DNA, but your sibling does, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't have Irish in you too. It just means that how the autosomic DNA were mixed, because when actually I'm going to go into another explanation on that later on. But you can have siblings who can have similar DNA, but also have very different DNA, and also show different percentages with ethnicity, which is kind of really cool. And it's all based on the autosomal DNA we get from our parents, because we get half of our autosomal from our father, half from our mother. Our siblings do not get the same combinations. There's this little mixing thing that goes on with them before the egg and the sperm come together and create you or children. And so siblings will actually show different ethnicities. And So do not be surprised if a sibling has Irish and you don't. You may still have, when you're looking back through the tree and stuff. So the DNA shows that you're related, but genealogy shows you how you are related. But you got to bring in other ones like the Y DNA and the mitochondrial DNA and the X DNA. So you got to bring in other DNA to prove that you're related by blood. But the genealogy research shows you how you are related. But anyway, enough of that, because that goes into a whole nother topic. I'm trying to stay on topic. It's St. Patrick's Day. Have a super fantastic, sparkling St. Patty's Day. However you are celebrating it, let us know in the comments below. If you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, what sort of things do you do to celebrate? I'm off to go walk my puppy because she loves to go for a walk in the evenings, because she's got a couple of houses she likes to call into where she knows she gets treats. And on some of them, she is very vocal. And I sometimes almost get, even though she's 28 pounds, she will sometimes almost pull me over in an effort to get to where she wants to go. It's amazing how dogs have so much pull and they're so little. And this one's, she's 28 pounds and she's pulling me. Anyway, go out, enjoy your St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Let us know how you're celebrating. And we will catch you guys back here tomorrow evening around 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, konara.